But for me, visual effects is a great business. I like to summarize it, and we can tell any story. You know, if you can imagine it, we can tell it, as long as you have enough time and budget. And it's really exciting to be in a kind of free world of telling any story like that. So at the end of the day, our business is about stories. You know, visual effects is highly technical, but we are a source for telling those stories for our clients.
And Jason, just for a little context, you're the founder and chief technology officer of FuseFX.
Right.
This was an organization that was started by some really talented people about 10 years ago. Do I have that?
2000, the official start was 2006. I joined
Okay.
with another partner in 2008.
I got you. So, and the cool part to me is kind of growing together. Fuse started again with a small group of people that had a vision for being able to do visual effects in a different way and to be able to service some of the biggest studios out there. And now, how big is the organization?
Oh gosh, we are approaching about 1,000 employees. We are so Fuse. We have two partnerships with sister companies now. One in based out of Montreal, a company by the name of Folks. You probably saw, you know, their stuff on the reel. And more recently, we partnered up with Rising Sun Pictures out of Australia. So we're approaching about 10 locations around the globe and about 1,000 employees.
Well, that's awesome to have seen the business grow from, again, just a few smart people with a great vision into a 1,000-person organization that spans planet Earth. And I think I'm speaking for everyone, especially during the pandemic. We watched more content than we ever have. And, you know, it's part of what gives us joy in our life. And it's really great work. I'd love to ask you, I mean, maybe we'll just start with the beginning. I mean, you didn't use Qumulo for all those 15 years.
No.
What were you using before Qumulo, and what was kind of the initial impetus to change to Qumulo?
So, you know, way back in the day, we started up with a simple Isilon cluster. You know, back in 2010, I think they were kind of the high, you know, the company you went to and are in the media and entertainment world for scale out file storage. I became aware of Qumulo soon after that and was really intrigued by what I was seeing. Connected with you all, and we purchased very early on that 4-node QC208 cluster that is still in production, and was really excited about the product early on. Had a lot of aspirations of what to do with it, and worked with you guys to, over the years, build it up. As we started to grow as a company, one of the three big challenges of visual effects are people, resources, right? We're a people business. We need creative people to do the work. We create a tremendous amount of data, and we have very high demands for rendering for large compute farms. So that all together creates our complex environment. Add on the top, it's a creative business and things change all the time, can be very hectic and chaotic. So on the rendering front, you know, we were growing as a company. We had opened multiple offices, and I became aware of the cloud. I think this was back in 2014, 2015, very early on. I was like, oh, what's this cloud? I didn't know too much about it at the time. And I quickly learned, oh, I could spin up virtual compute in the cloud and help with kind of a release valve of our render demands. So we started doing that, and I started to run it. We did it kind of on our own, homegrown kind of system, standard Linux file server, and quickly realized that storage was the major bottleneck of being able to scale to what we wanted to in the cloud. That's when I started to talk to people at Qumulo about, hey, we've got this on-prem cluster that scales and meets the demands of our local farms. Wouldn't it be great if I had something like that in the cloud? I was actually talking to every possible storage vendor I could at the time about this concept, because I was like, somebody's got to be thinking about this other than me. It felt like nobody was. I'd get a lot of lip service. I'd get a lot of, yeah, we could do that. And then crickets. And you guys were like, yeah, we could do that. And I think a couple of weeks later, we had a simple virtual server that was like, hey, would this work? And I was like, yeah, that would work. It was already faster than we were using in our homegrown system. And it was like, if you can make this into a cluster, we're all in. That would be amazing. And I think literally a couple of weeks later, boom, there was a cloud cluster running on AWS. It was quite amazing. I think a testament to your customer service. We really feel that, and being able to quickly be agile and actually make that happen. I was very impressed with that. So that was really a cool experience. And I think we were, if not the first, one of your first cloud customers. So that's exciting for myself. So we did that. And then I have a little story to tell about how we've been able to leverage not only our cloud customer, but the data analytics portion of your environment. So the cloud gives you limitless opportunity, right? Amazon will let you spin up thousands of compute instances at any time if you want. They have the spot market, which makes it cost effective for us. And sure, scaling is great, but at the end of the day, you need a file system that can support the demands of all those compute instances hitting it at the exact same time. In visual effects, it's all about throughput and IOPS. And that are the two main data points that you get on the Qumulo dashboard, throughput and IOPS. And I've always loved that dashboard because it tells you very quickly how your network is performing, because everything's hitting the same storage system. And we had a moment where we were rendering a job and we were, trying to hit production demands, and the IOPS were flatlining. You could see it on the storage system. It was just spiking up and creating a flat line on the graphs. And anytime that happens, something's wrong. We were able to drill down in and point to a single file on the file system in real time of a single file creating 60,000 IOPS on our cloud storage system. And that's not normal. There's something wrong there if a single file is generating that much demand on the file system. So we were able to decipher how we were creating the file. We reached out to our render third-party vendor, V-Ray, and asked, hey, what is this file? What does it do? Why is it generating so much performance on our file system? We can't get our stuff rendered. They hit us back and they said, that's a legacy workflow. V-Ray isn't really meant to use that file anymore. Here's an alternate way of working. Tell your artist to do this and all should be good. So we did, and lo and behold, problem solved. I really like that story because without being able to quickly drill down into that file, we could have spent weeks trying to figure out and chasing ghosts and trying to, decipher what is the real problem, and going into network and PCAPs and, I've been there and it's no fun. Being able to quickly say, yep, that's the problem, and we probably figured out a solution within a day. It was pretty awesome, and kept us running and kept us going. So I always love telling that story because it's a fun real world story, and it shows how we were able to really use the software you're making to our advantage. Fast forward to present day, we have recently installed all new Qumulo clusters as our primary storage system. I like the chart of your progression of software development, because we've been along the ride kind of since for all those years. And that early 208 QC 208 cluster was really great. We still were running other storage systems kind of in a tier 1 environment. And in 2019, Qumulo became our tier 1 provider across all locations. And that's, because finally, we were comfortable with all those features that were being developed and ready to implement that. So we're doing that now. And now what we're able to do is really take advantage of things like replication to and from the cloud. Whereas before we had a Qumulo cluster and a different storage system on-prem, we had to build our own replication systems. Now we're excited about using replication in that. And I'm really excited about Shift. I've talked to many storage vendors that say they support S3, and really what they do is they write block level data to S3 that you have to put their software in front of it to access that data. I shy away from that. That doesn't really excite me too much. Being able to write files to objects and leverage S3 for the power that it is, transfer it to and from high performance file systems in our 10 location environment now, we're going to take advantage of that in the future for sure.
Jason, it's just great to hear what it's like as a practitioner and how you take advantage of these things. The file analytics were built for exactly those reasons, to be effectively to be able to see your data and then action it. And the number of reasons to do that are infinite, but having it there makes that easy. I think one thing that you do, and a lot of folks are curious about, is kind of running a hybrid environment. And you called it the relief valve. And I imagine in your business, demands change. So you might be kind of running steady state, and then there's a business opportunity to take on more work. But if you're stuck with a fixed amount of infrastructure, nobody wants to say no to revenue and opportunity. And is that more or less the way that it works at FuseFX for deciding whether something runs on-prem versus in the cloud?
A little bit. It's many things. The cloud is there for us to, like I said, open that relief valve when the need arises. It could be because we have extra work coming in. It could be because we're running into some render jobs that are just taking a really long time to achieve the creative output that we need. It could be that, clients change their minds. They now want a spaceship in the scene where they didn't want a spaceship before, and you're 3 days from delivery and you've got to meet that demand. I've described the cloud as giving us the ability to make time a variable in the mix, because when you have on-premise infrastructure, it's a finite resource and you have 2 days to deliver. You got to figure out how to make that resource fit within those 2 days. Having the ability to turn the dial in the cloud and say, oh, we could do this amount of work and just scale up to this level. This is what it's going to cost, and we can hit that 2-day target. We have the ability to make those decisions, and we can make them quickly because we can quickly spin up and spin down the cloud. And it can be very cost effective because running massive scale for a couple of days, I've always said I get great pleasure out of turning it off. Because it's like, wow, so I was just able to triple my infrastructure with a few clicks of a button, and now I can turn it off and not pay for it anymore. It's very cool. And back when I became aware of what the cloud was, that was the vision. It was like, oh wow, you could do this. I don't have to call rental companies and figure out if I have rack space and enough power and are my AC system's going to hold up. And well, boy, it's going to take some time, and we're going to, put our machine image, and half of them are not going to work because they don't have an updated BIOS, or all of the complexities of trying to do it locally. We have custom AMIs in AWS and a custom solution that you just fire up a spot request and say, give me 500 of these, and boom, they're there.
That sort of flexibility, business flexibility, I think is huge. And we started launching Qumulo in the public cloud about 4 or 5 years ago, and the adoption keeps increasing. And then during the pandemic, we saw that sort of surge because getting people into data centers and actually more recently supply chain constraints have sort of have been a catalyst for customers to say, hey, what are the other ways that I can solve this problem? And so I think you're very much a trailblazer in terms of being able to run hybrid environments. And now that's becoming quite standard here at Qumulo. Okay, Jason, well, you've come on and you've shared, and the sizzle reel is awesome. We all want to go watch more of that. You've a lot of that roadmap development is because we like talking to trailblazers, and if they see something or an opportunity, it very well turn out that actually most of the market will need that. So we'd like to go after it. Give us one challenge or one request or one parting thoughts so that we can keep living up to your standards as your partner.
The next big challenge for us is, how do we think about being a global company? How do we think about sharing work effectively and having data storage be as simplistic as possible underneath all of that, right? We have performance demands for our internal users. Artists run high-powered software. They need high performance access both at the file level and the user experience level. So thinking about how to transfer data easily, how to co-locate and provide an experience to end users, what that all looks like, and how to architect that complex solution and make it as simplistic as possible. Because, you know, I talked about the cloud being the technical release valve. The other challenge in the visual effects business is people and artists. And if you've got 30 free artists in this location that can do work for a certain amount of time, you want to be able to easily transition the data sets to that and their environment. You can do it in interesting ways. You can provide like a Teradici type remote access machine, or maybe move the data, and Qumulo being at the core of that, providing features for us to do that in a most effective way is the next thing that I am after.
Okay, challenge accepted. And I don't think you're alone in building global organizations where you want storage not just to be simple, but almost to be invisible. And we love that idea. Hey, Jason, I know you're super busy. I'm absolutely delighted that you came on and shared a bit with the gang that joined this Qonnect, and I'll just send a huge thank you on behalf of the whole company for being a great partner. So thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you as well.